What if everything you believe about feminine nature is built on comfortable lies? What if beneath the surface of every interaction, every smile, every gesture of care, lies a truth so profound that acknowledging it would fundamentally alter how you see the world? Today, we're going into the forbidden philosophy of Arthur Schopenhauer, a man who dared to speak what others only whispered. This isn't about hatred or misogyny. This is about unveiling the raw, unfiltered reality of human nature that society desperately wants to keep hidden. The Empress who rewrote history. Let me tell you about Wuetian, the only woman to ever rule China as emperor. But here's what they don't teach you. She didn't seize power through armies or rebellion. Wuetian understood something far more powerful. Starting as a low-ranking concubine, she systematically positioned herself near the emperor's son, not through obvious seduction, but through intelligence, timing, and an almost supernatural ability to read what men needed before they knew it themselves. She became indispensable not through beauty, but through dangerous emotional strategies. When the time was right, she didn't demand power. She made powerful men believe giving her power was their idea. By the time they realized what had happened, she controlled the entire Chinese empire. Wuetian ruled for 15 years, expanding territory and establishing one of China's most prosperous periods. This wasn't a coincidence. This was exactly what Schopenhauer would later identify as feminine intelligence operating at its highest level. The philosopher who shocked the world. Arthur Schopenhauer didn't just study philosophy. He dissected human nature like a surgeon with a scalpel. While others celebrated romantic ideals, he peered into the shadows and discovered something unsettling. That what we call love might be biology's most elaborate deception. Schopenhauer argued that women operate from a fundamentally different operating system than men. Not better, not worse, but alien in ways that most people refuse to acknowledge. He believed that understanding this difference isn't optional if you want to navigate reality successfully. But here's where it gets fascinating. Schopenhauer wasn't attacking women. He was revealing a hidden architecture of power that operates beneath conscious awareness. The biological imperative, hidden in plain sight. According to Schopenhauer, women are guided by what he called the will to life, a force more powerful than individual consciousness. This isn't about personal choices or free will. It's about a biological programming so deep that it operates below the level of rational thought. Every decision, every preference, every seemingly innocent choice is filtered through this invisible lens. Where men might see love, Schopenhauer saw evolutionary strategy. Where society sees romance, he saw genetic optimization in action. This creates what he called the Great Deception. Women themselves often don't realize they're following this programming. They genuinely believe they're making conscious choices, but Schopenhauer argued they're actually executing a biological script written millions of years ago. Think about it. Why do certain types of confidence attract women across all cultures? Why do resources and status matter regardless of personality? Schopenhauer would say it's because these aren't personal preferences. They're species-level instructions. The hidden language of influence. Here's where Schopenhauer's observations become truly unsettling. He noticed that women possess what he called intuitive intelligence, the ability to read, influence, and redirect without explicit communication. This isn't manipulation in the conscious sense. It's something far more sophisticated. The ability to operate through emotional undercurrents that men often can't even detect. While men rely on logic and direct communication, women navigate through layers of subtext that most people don't know exist. The spy who changed World War II, consider Nancy Wake, known as the White Mouse during World War II. On the surface, she was just another woman in Nazi-occupied France, but Wake understood something the Gestapo never grasped, that their assumptions about feminine weakness were her greatest weapon. Wake didn't fight the Nazis with traditional military tactics. Instead, she used charm to extract information, tears to avoid suspicion, and maternal instincts to build networks of resistance fighters who would die for her. The Nazis put a bounty on her head, but could never catch her because they kept looking for a dangerous man. She saved thousands of Allied lives not through brute force, but through the exact kind of emotional intelligence Schopenhauer described. Wake could read a room, sense danger, and manipulate situations through psychological insight that her male counterparts couldn't match. The German officers hunting her were trained soldiers, but they were playing a game they didn't understand against an opponent using rules they couldn't see. The trap of male projection. But here's the darkest truth Schopenhauer revealed. Men consistently project their own nature onto women, creating a dangerous blind spot. Men assume women think like men, want what men want, and operate from similar motivations. This projection creates what Schopenhauer called the romantic illusion, the belief that love transcends biology. Men create elaborate fantasies about spiritual connection and emotional unity, while remaining blind to the underlying dynamics actually driving behavior. According to Schopenhauer, this isn't accidental. The biological imperative requires men to remain somewhat unconscious of what's actually happening. If men fully understood the game, they might opt out entirely, which is not ideal and would also be disastrous for species continuation. The power behind the throne Schopenhauer made a startling observation. Throughout history, the most powerful women weren't those who competed directly with men, but those who learned to influence men who held formal power. The mistress who controlled France. Take Madame de Pompadour, officially just the mistress of King Louis XIV. History books treat her as a footnote, but she effectively ruled France for nearly 20 years. How? Not through royal blood or military conquest, but through understanding exactly what Schopenhauer would later theorize. Pompadour realized that controlling the king's emotions meant controlling the kingdom. She didn't just satisfy his desires, she shaped them. She became his advisor, his confidant, his emotional anchor. When foreign ambassadors wanted to influence French policy, they came to her, not him. She appointed ministers, directed military campaigns, and shaped cultural movements throughout Europe, all while maintaining the illusion that she was just a woman who happened to catch the king's fancy. This represents a form of influence more subtle and often more effective than direct authority. While men fought for titles and positions, Pompadour understood that controlling the man with the title was often more powerful than holding the title yourself. The modern awakening. So what does this mean for today's world? Schopenhauer's insights suggest that as women gain more direct power, we're witnessing the emergence of influence that's both direct and indirect, a combination that creates unprecedented dynamics. The dark truth isn't that women are deceptive, it's that they're operating from an intelligence that most people don't understand. As society evolves, this intelligence is becoming more visible and more consciously directed. Understanding Schopenhauer's perspective doesn't diminish women. It reveals a form of power that's been operating in the shadows for millennia. The question is, Are you ready to see reality without the comfortable illusions? The choice is yours. Schopenhauer's philosophy offers a choice. Continue living in romantic fantasies, or develop the courage to see human nature as it actually operates. This isn't about cynicism, it's about clarity. Those who understand these dynamics aren't damaged by them. They're empowered by them. They can navigate relationships with eyes wide open, appreciating both the beauty and the complexity of human nature. The dark truth about women isn't that they're different from what you thought. It's that reality itself is far more intricate and fascinating than the simple stories we tell ourselves. If you're ready to explore more uncomfortable truths about human nature, subscribe for insights that challenge everything you think you know. The rabbit hole goes much deeper than this.